So in regards to the seers and the psychics and getting so-called advice, well, it's basically you're just getting another viewpoint from these people, and it does help to get an objective viewpoint because it's hard to see ourselves objectively because we're so into ourselves, you'd say. You know, we're invested in what we've created with who we are. So when we do go see, if you care to see somebody such as a seer or so-called psychic, you know, they will give you an objective viewpoint of your situation, of your position, and that can be valuable to a certain extent. It's not that you take it to heart necessarily what they say, because it just depends on who they are and how far they can see. Usually these seers are, they see into the psychic world only so far. It's valuable in that respect. They usually don't go any further than that. And what Dwayne suggests is if you do go see these people, ask them straight away, you know, ask them, do you see the guides that I'm working with? And if they see Rebizar Tars or Yabul Sakabi around you, then it's a go. You can work with them. If not, then maybe be suspect that they're just there for the money or they don't have that ability to see. But if they do see the real guides around you or some such, you know, something to indicate what your position is, then it could be valuable to use them because, again, it's an objective viewpoint, and these are you could do that with a friend or someone you know, but these are basically people that you're paying them, so they're not going to be invested in your friendship. They're just basically telling it like it is. They're not trying to hide anything from you. They may, but it's just kind of a more objective view that they have of you, and it can be valuable.
Very well said. And it breaks down to the fitting of a mask on one person, which is designed to impress others and hide the true nature of the wearer. This is known in psychology as a persona, as it is an important factor in dreams, as one may have shadowy images in their sleep of being something that they are not. More often, these dreams are the true image of what one really is. And so, that which a person wears with their personal outer life is no more than a mock-up psychic mask. All of us want to belong, to be, or a part of something. The masses are bred to accept and belong to a herd instinct of others controlling them. And at the same time, they want to be socially accepted as special and above things and all the common nature. This is where people do not see themselves as the prisoners that they are, either worshiping themselves in particular ways, such as vanity and self-righteousness, or that of looking to someone else in the present or past as someone more special than themselves and the whole of life. For those who really do want to get beyond and do better for themselves, real guidance is a must, because the avenue leading beyond this world is long and wide, and there are many challenges. Those who play to the public, such as politicians and movie stars, as an example, will most likely have two definite personalities in their life. My experiences in this area are so many. When I first took the rod of power in 2001, I was trying to let the corporation and those who worked at the international office that I was the new leader. I was asked by Rebazar and Paul to comfort Gerald and his bunch. And so one of the experiences I had with the presidents of the corporation, the opening scene is where I walked into a general store, kind of like those of the Old West, which demonstrates themselves as the corporate office, which is now old, outdated, and rather a generality. I went through the door and was immediately met by several of Gerald's boys. As they asked to see my ID, I pulled out my wallet and opened it, and even to my surprise was a card with a golden seal of the President of the United States with my picture in the middle. For a moment, I even pulled it to my face and in amazement because I looked like a teenager. Then I showed it to them and they let me pass. I walked into the middle of a small part of the store and looked all around for Mr. P, but I could not find him. I knew where he was, so I called out his name, and then I heard a voice from under the counter in front of me. "I'm down here," he said. So I looked down and then got on my knees as I was staring right at him, and all I saw was a form under a blanket. And then he lifted the blanket up, and I was looking right at him. He was about 3 feet tall, and so I asked why he was hiding. He replied, "I don't want anyone to see me like this," he said, as he looked a little forlorn. Then I said to him, "Mr. P, I have come here to save your life. All you have to do is stop being silly with what Gerald and Crone are doing and help me assist the Seeing membership." When he talked, he sounded like a little boy and said, "I want to be that, sir, but Gerald won't like it, and Crone will be very angry with me." I was rather discouraged for a moment, and then I replied, "If you don't take the risk now, they will take you down." And he looked straight at me and began to silently cry. Then he pulled the blanket back over him, and the experience ended. This experience is a really good example of the masks that people wear. A person goes to the corporate office and meets Mr. P, they will surely think he is as divine as they come. And so this is where the dream vision shows where the person really is in life, was very small and hiding from the truth. I had many experiences with Gerald and Crone that were very similar. I met him once in a hallway at his office as he was walking out. He was about 3 feet tall and wearing adult clothes like children. And when children dress up and they're with their parents and all their stuff on, I could not see his hands or feet because the sleeves and part of his legs were dragging on the floor. As soon as he saw me, he quickly turned and started to run. but then immediately fell back on his face. He swiftly got up and looked around to see if anyone was looking, and then hurried off like you would see a character in a cartoon. Another time, I was suddenly standing next to him, and we were both in front of a full-length mirror. I said, "Gerald, take a look at yourself and what you are doing to the membership." Because of crony. I could see his reflection in the mirror as he fidgeted around and would not look into the mirror at himself. He didn't want to confront himself and what he was doing. He had told me straight out that he was giving his mastership to Crone. Gerald had become so emotionally attached to her that he could no longer control himself. I had so many encounters with Crone. One time I asked her if she wanted real freedom or Gerald, and she sarcastically replied she wanted Gerald. Durwood was the same as these two characters also. He tried to destroy me many times because I knew what he was doing. On the outer, with their psychic masks, fronts, and these people and many others like them proposed to be spiritual masters. And just like the rep systems, they are running their earthly business. This is why I do not associate with the new presentation with anything spiritual, idea, or members, because the lords of karma control these people and most other earthly spiritual teachings, which look to pray to God and the gods of men. It's just about this time. Would anyone like to say a few words? Tim?
Yeah, sure. This primary focus of these people that are the powers that be on Earth, like the example of the North Korean dictator being worse than Jim Jones, and we know what Jim Jones' life example was about committing suicide and having a whole group of people commit suicide with him, and how that here we have these dictators, and Dwayne is saying how the United States is no better, no different than the dictatorship in North Korea. These beings, what we see, what their real focus is, they build super bombs. And what's the purpose of the super bombs? So that they can be like real powerful, do what they say, or else get blown up. It's just they've been planning this for a long time, hundreds of years, and here we are right involved right this very day. We see these things about like Iran being accused of blasting this oil refinery stuff, and you just wonder at any time in this physical that anything can happen. And with atomic bombs on Earth, it's bad enough with all the ways that we're being affected by these brutalitarians, authoritarians, reptilians, by our air and food and water and microwave mind controlling stuff. And so it's very important, if anybody's listening, to find out for yourself, to test this new you song before you go to sleep for like 15 minutes, and when you wake up in the morning, Try it again for like 15 minutes and see what life shows you. Find out for yourself, because if you don't find out this very lifetime, you may not have the opportunity that's being offered in the new presentation by the wonderful worldwide educators, that it's going to get a lot worse, that you may come back deformed or robotized, being slaves for reptilians or these authoritarians, these brutalitarians, for what seems like maybe forever, because they can regenerate the body so it doesn't physically die and just be used by them. So we're trying to share this new presentation, these efforts like Lila and Val and everybody involved in the new presentation, to start out by singing the new you song, and then get a hold of the new Adventure Is series books by Dwayne the Great Writer, either through Lulu.com or they're available on PDF through Kelsey Lynn Brown on the Facebook or the YouTube. If you're really interested, you can find out about getting them and become involved with the projects that are in this new presentation to do wonderful things for the earth.
Beautifully, beautifully said, especially new things to protect our beautiful planet and our beautiful earth, and be grateful for everything that we have. And singing the new you is our way of saying thank you for all this wonderful earth that we have. Let's keep it by waking up. So this evening, the bedtime stories will close, and we'll be with you next week. And so let's all sing together the new you. New you, new you. I feel all of us together singing a new you. Makes it so powerful, and just it's a very, very beautiful when we all sing it together. We are focused with gratitude. Thank you for listening to these bedtime stories. Good night, everyone.
Thanks. Good night. Happy dreams.